It doesn't matter how rich you are, how famous, how loyal. Even if you're an NBA superstar with millions in the bank and the world at your feet, you can still get cheated on. Time and time again, we've seen players give their all on the court only to come home to betrayal off it. The same women they trusted, supported, and flaunted on social media end up doing them dirty. These aren't just scandals. They're reminders that no amount of success can protect you from heartbreak. In this video, we're diving into the stories of NBA players who had disloyal girlfriends and wives, the ones who stayed faithful to the game but got played in real life. This is the ugly side of fame. Let's begin with PJ Washington. PJ Washington entered the NBA with dreams of stardom. A young, promising forward, drafted 12th overall in the 2019 NBA draft by the Charlotte Hornets, he showed flashes of potential early in his career. He wasn't a superstar, but he was a reliable, hard-working role player. In his rookie season, he averaged a respectable 12.6 points per game, shooting 45% from the field and an impressive 38% from beyond the arc. For a young player finding his footing in the league, he was doing everything right on the court. But while his game was maturing in the NBA, his personal life began spiraling into one of the most public and controversial off-court relationship scandals the league had seen in recent years. Before his NBA days, PJ played college basketball for the Kentucky Wildcats. It was during this time that he met Brittany Rener, a woman who would later turn his life upside down. Rener, a well-known Instagram model with over 4.5 million followers, was often spotted courtside during Kentucky games, and that's when their paths crossed. They began dating shortly after, and for a brief moment, it seemed like PJ had found love. But Brittany Rener was not someone to be trusted, and those familiar with her history could see the red flags from miles away. She wasn't just an influencer. She was the walking embodiment of Gen Z's definition of a red flag. Her rise to online fame wasn't built on groundbreaking business ventures or remarkable talent. She publicly admitted on the radio that she began building her online persona as a means to elevate her family's financial status. While that sentiment sounds noble on the surface, the path she chose was anything but. Before dating PJ Washington, Rener had a long and well-documented history of romantic entanglements with celebrities and athletes. She famously wrote a tell-all book in which she detailed her intimate encounters with numerous high-profile men, including Colin Kaepernick, Drake, Trey Songz, Chris Brown, Tyga, Travis Scott, and Lil Uzi Vert. It wasn't just that she had dated these men, it was how she flaunted those relationships.
Because my dating pool is, my
expansive.
God, impressive, expansive. I've had sex with 35 guys.
And appeared to use them as stepping stones to fame and fortune that raised eyebrows. In one interview, she even claimed to have loved Lil Uzi Vert, only to contradict herself minutes later by saying she hadn't experienced love in years and hadn't found a man who made her feel that way. At one point, Rener acknowledged that she had created a manipulative version of herself online just to reclaim control over her life. In one of her YouTube videos, she claimed her past relationships were abusive, suggesting that her provocative and calculated behavior was a defense mechanism. Maybe it was, but still, the pattern of behavior was publicly available, and PJ Washington either ignored the warnings or believed he could be the one to change her. Unfortunately, reality hit hard. After Rener gave birth to PJ's child, things took a shocking turn. Just 2 weeks after their baby was born, Brittany Rener allegedly filed for divorce in secret. PJ Washington suddenly found himself trapped in a nightmare, not only emotionally devastated, but facing a financial obligation that would change his life. Reports circulated that he was to pay Brittany Rener $200,000 every month in child support for the next 18 years. And that's when the real heartbreak became visible. PJ wasn't just upset about the money. It was the emotional toll that weighed heavier. He had just become a father, his first child. And now, not only was the relationship over, but he couldn't even see his son. He expressed his pain publicly, tweeting and posting that he missed his son and that the situation was tearing him apart. For Rener, however, it didn't appear to be about love or loss. It seemed transactional, cold, calculated, a business move. She later posted a video where she unapologetically advised women that if they wanted to make easy money, they should get with athletes because they don't use protection.
In my experience, the worst people to deal with are the athletes. None of them use condoms, really. So if y'all really want to try to come up off a check off a man, you could just an athlete. They're really dumb.
That one line summarized everything wrong with the situation and cemented PJ Washington's image as her latest victim. At the time all this was happening, PJ was still early in his NBA career and not yet financially secure. This wasn't LeBron money. This was a young player on a rookie contract, and having to shell out millions in child support over nearly 2 decades was a devastating financial blow. The scandal didn't just hurt his bank account, it hurt his public image, his peace of mind, and his ability to focus fully on his basketball career. What made the situation even more painful was the realization that Rener had likely been planning this all along. She had seen the playbook before: get close to someone rich, secure the bag, and walk away. Only this time, it wasn't just a heart she broke. It was a family she fractured, a young man's trust she destroyed, and a lesson she taught to the rest of the league. PJ Washington's story is not just a cautionary tale for athletes. It's a brutal reminder that fame, money, and love don't always mix, and that trust is a currency far more valuable than dollars in a contract. And as if her pattern wasn't already obvious, Brittany Rener's recent actions only added to the list. She reportedly broke off her next relationship, this time with rapper Kevin Gates, just 52 days into their supposed marriage. Another short-lived flame, another collapse. There's really not much left to say about her now. The trail she leaves behind is filled with broken relationships, emotional manipulation, and calculated moves that have become her brand. Whether it was PJ Washington or Kevin Gates, the story always ends the same, with her walking away and someone else left to pick up the pieces. As we just witnessed in the PJ Washington saga, Brittany Rener played a long game, one where love was just a smokescreen, and the real prize was the paycheck. But what happens when an NBA star finds out that the person he planned to marry isn't just chasing money, but sleeping with another player in the league? That's exactly what happened to Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas, also known as Agent Zero, was once one of the NBA's most explosive scorers. A 3-time All-Star and the undisputed face of the Washington Wizards during the 2000s, Arenas had carved out a reputation as a clutch performer and lethal shooter. In 2008, he signed a massive $111 million contract, cementing his status as a top-tier star both on and off the court. But behind the scenes, Gilbert's personal life was on a slow march toward disaster. Enter Laura Govan, a reality TV personality best known for her appearance on Basketball Wives, LA. The two met in the early 2000s when Laura was working in public relations for the Sacramento Kings and Gilbert was suiting up for the Golden State Warriors. Through NBA social circles and mutual acquaintances, their paths crossed and sparks flew. Gilbert was a rising star. Confident, flashy, and brimming with talent, Laura was glamorous, savvy, and understood the celebrity lifestyle. Their chemistry was instant. They began dating seriously, and soon Laura moved in with Gilbert. The relationship progressed rapidly. Over the years, they had 4 children together, bought a sprawling mansion in suburban DC, and lived a life filled with luxury. But beneath the surface, their relationship was built on chaos. Frequent breakups, public spats, and years of instability foreshadowed the inevitable implosion. And when things start cracking at the foundation, it's only a matter of time before the whole house collapses. The first public sign of betrayal came during their engagement. Laura later revealed in interviews that the enormous diamond ring Gilbert had given her wasn't even real. To the outside world, it looked like a sparkling symbol of eternal love, a ring worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. But Laura claimed that Gilbert had secretly removed the real diamond and replaced it with a cheap cubic zirconia before giving it to her. Whether it was a petty joke, a cruel power move, or a reflection of their broken trust, the fake ring was more than a deception. It was a metaphor, flashy on the outside, hollow within. Gilbert would later admit publicly that the ring was fake. At this point, their relationship was already fragile, but then came the earthquake, the name that would shatter everything: Shaquille O'Neal. In 2010, Shawnee O'Neal, Shaq's then-wife, accused him of having an affair with none other than Laura Govan. Initially, the claim sounded like a rumor, a baseless accusation. But shortly after, emails between Shaq and Laura surfaced online. These weren't innocent messages. They were explicit and exposed a hidden relationship that neither party had confessed to. Their content made it clear: something intimate had happened. This revelation sent shockwaves through Gilbert's life. He wasn't just humiliated, he was devastated. To find out that your fiancée, the mother of your children, had been involved with another man was bad enough. It was unbearable. Gilbert later said the betrayal made him feel like the ground had vanished beneath his feet. The emotional toll hit him so hard it began affecting his game. In a podcast interview years later, Gilbert detailed just how deep the trauma ran. During a game against the Indiana Pacers, he stood at the free throw line, preparing to take his shot. Suddenly, from the crowd, he heard chants of "Shaq! Shaq!"
And all I heard was, Shaq, Shaq, Shaq.
Confused, he looked around and saw two kids making obscene gestures, mocking him.
That wasn't the bad part. The bad part, there was two kids behind the bench doing this.
That's when it hit him. The story had gone viral. The scandal wasn't just national news, it was playground gossip. He panicked. His hands trembled. He missed both free throws. In that moment, all the betrayal, humiliation, and rage came flooding back. The infidelity wasn't just a private failure, it had become public entertainment. Laura, of course, denied the entire affair. In an almost surreal response, she once asked during an interview, how could someone sleep with a man who has feet like Shaq? What exactly she meant by that remains unclear, but the damage had already been done. Despite all this chaos, Gilbert stayed with Laura for another 4 years before finally ending the relationship in 2014. But it didn't end quietly. In a shocking revelation, Gilbert claimed that Laura demanded $244,000 per month in child support.
She takes me to court. She wanted $244,000.
Yes, $250,000 every single month. That staggering request revealed what many already suspected. This was no longer about the children. It was about draining him. Eventually, after a long legal battle, Gilbert managed to settle the case. Instead of $244,000, he agreed to pay $10,000 a month in child support. A far more reasonable figure, but still a reminder of how high the cost of disloyalty can be. Gilbert Arenas didn't just lose money. He lost trust, dignity, and peace of mind. His NBA career began to decline shortly after the scandal, and while injuries and off-court controversies also played a role, it's hard to ignore how much emotional trauma weighed him down. In the end, Gilbert's story mirrors P.J. Washington's in one crucial way. Both men were stars on the rise who got involved with women whose intentions weren't as pure as they appeared. In both cases, love was weaponized, trust was shattered, and the financial consequences were staggering. We've seen how Gilbert Arenas' life unraveled through betrayal and scandal, but not every NBA downfall comes with headlines and chaos. Now let's shift to Steve Nash, a story of quiet pain, private heartbreak, and emotional collapse. Steve Nash, a two-time NBA MVP, one of the greatest point guards in the history of basketball, and the engine that powered the Phoenix Suns back into contention, was a maestro on the court. His ability to read defenses, dish dimes, and lead with calm precision earned him global respect and admiration. But behind the no-look passes and on-court brilliance was a man quietly battling unimaginable personal chaos. While Nash's legacy as a basketball genius is cemented in history, his personal life tells a story of betrayal, heartbreak, and a scandal that still casts shadows. On the other side of this tragic tale is Alejandra Amarilla, a Paraguayan-born filmmaker, activist, and social justice advocate. With a powerful voice for humanitarian causes, Alejandra dedicated her life to uplifting underrepresented communities and using storytelling to drive change. She was articulate, passionate, and worldly, qualities that initially drew Nash toward her. Their love story began in 2001, when Nash was playing for the Dallas Mavericks. The pair met in New York City and quickly formed a deep bond. By 2004, they had welcomed twin daughters, Lola and Bella, and in 2005, they officially tied the knot. From the outside, it seemed like the ideal union. An NBA superstar married to a purpose-driven woman with whom he shared a beautiful family. They had wealth, fame, children, and seemingly love. To fans and media, they were the picture of success and stability. But behind closed doors, the foundation was cracking. In November 2010, the couple welcomed their third child, a baby boy named Mateo. Shockingly, just one day after the birth, Steve Nash publicly announced that he and Alejandra were separating. The timing was baffling. How could a father celebrate the birth of his son one day and then file for divorce the next? The public was stunned. Something was clearly wrong, but what? It didn't take long for the rumors to erupt like wildfire across blogs, tabloids, and NBA forums. The most scandalous theory? that the child was of African-American descent? And Nash, being Caucasian as was Alejandra, was not the biological father. The whispers quickly evolved into accusations, and speculation pointed toward infidelity. The narrative being painted was that Alejandra had cheated, and the baby's complexion was the shocking evidence of her betrayal. At the center of this swirling storm were two of Nash's own teammates, first Leandro Barbosa, then Jason Richardson. Barbosa, known for his close friendship with Nash and his presence around the family in early 2010, was the initial target of online suspicion. But the rumors shifted more forcefully toward Richardson when the Phoenix Suns abruptly traded him to the Orlando Magic just days after Nash's divorce became public. Fans speculated, was the trade a punishment? Was Richardson the alleged father? None of these allegations were ever confirmed. In fact, Nash and Alejandra both denied the rumors, publicly affirming that the child was theirs and that no infidelity had taken place. But the damage had been done. The internet had latched onto the scandal, and the idea of a teammate betrayal only fueled the fire. The narrative of disloyalty, especially from someone within Nash's own locker room, was too explosive for the public to ignore. The divorce quickly turned messy, particularly around the custody of their children. Alejandra wanted to relocate to Los Angeles, but Nash objected, allegedly because California's child support laws would have increased his financial responsibility. In response, Alejandra claimed Nash was trying to avoid supporting his own children. Court filings became public, the mudslinging intensified, and the once glamorous image of their relationship crumbled before the world's eyes. But the real tragedy here wasn't just the collapse of a marriage. It was how quickly public perception turned a personal family matter into an internet trial. The assumptions about Mateo's race, the unfounded claims of infidelity, and the scapegoating of teammates turned the birth of a child into a media circus. It showcased how brutal and invasive life can be when you're famous, and how unforgiving the world can be to women when scandals arise. This wasn't just Steve Nash's heartbreak. It was a reflection of a disturbing pattern that's emerged in the personal lives of NBA stars. A pattern where success on the court doesn't protect them from betrayal at home. From Kevin Garnett's high-profile divorce due to infidelity allegations, to Paul George's turbulent relationship history, to the cheating scandals involving players like Tristan Thompson, more and more, NBA wives and girlfriends have become central figures in off-court controversies. And in Nash's case, whether the rumors were ever true or not, the trust was broken. The swift divorce after the child's birth, the tight-lipped statements, and the suspicious timing of Richardson's trade left behind a fog of doubt that never fully cleared. Nash, known for his composure and control, found his private life spiraling beyond repair. He stayed silent through most of the ordeal, choosing dignity over drama. But fans weren't so quiet. To this day, threads on forums, blog posts, and fan theories continue to speculate about the truth. And even though Nash has moved on with his life, both personally and professionally, the memory of that sudden, dramatic collapse still lingers. It only takes seconds to destroy a home built over years. In Nash's case, whether it was betrayal or the slow decay of a troubled marriage, it left the world stunned and the man forever changed. It remains one of the NBA's most talked about off-court dramas, a cautionary tale of love, loyalty, and the cost of life in the spotlight. Steve Nash's scandal left behind a trail of vague rumors and unanswered questions. But the next case? It was far more destructive. This time, the betrayal wasn't just emotional. It completely derailed a promising NBA career. One player gave his heart, his loyalty, and his future to the wrong woman, and paid the ultimate price. Roy Hibbert was once at the top of the NBA mountain. A two-time All-Star and one of the league's most feared rim protectors, Hibbert anchored the Indiana Pacers during their golden era. He stood tall, literally and metaphorically, as the defensive backbone of a team built to win in the trenches. Alongside Paul George, the Pacers were a powerhouse in the East. While George delivered the highlight dunks and scoring bursts, Hibbert protected the paint with intimidating force. Together, they pushed LeBron James and the Miami Heat to the brink twice. They weren't just teammates, they were seen as friends, brothers chasing a title. And off the court, Hibbert had what looked like a stable love life. His longtime girlfriend, Valerie Vlaire Cook, was a former Georgetown volleyball player. Just like Hibbert, an athlete who understood the grind. She was frequently seen courtside, supporting him through his rise. From the outside, she looked like the loyal partner, the one who stayed grounded while the fame around Hibbert exploded. They dated for several years, and many believed marriage was inevitable. But behind closed doors, cracks were forming, ones the public couldn't see yet. By early 2014, everything started to fall apart. The Pacers, once the most disciplined, dangerous team in the East, were unraveling. Their chemistry was off. The energy felt strange. A team that once played as one unit now looked divided. Fans noticed it. So did the media. Something was clearly wrong, both on and off the court. Then came the whispers. It began subtly. Cryptic social media posts, cold body language, tension between teammates. And then Lance Stevenson, one of the Pacers' most vocal players, dropped a bomb. He hinted that there was a rift between Roy Hibbert and Paul George, something personal. Soon, the rumors exploded. Screenshots began circulating online, allegedly showing Paul George and Blair Cook, Hibbert's girlfriend, messaging each other on Instagram. The messages were flirtatious, suggestive, and eventually they crossed the line. Some claimed the chats even revealed that the two had physically hooked up. One wild rumor even alleged that George had invited Hibbert out for a fishing trip, only to sleep with Blair while he was away. Whether fact or fiction, one thing was undeniable. Hibbert was never the same again. The towering confidence he once carried on the court? Gone. His numbers started to plummet. His defensive presence disappeared. He looked lost, emotionally checked out, like a man carrying a weight he couldn't lift. And his relationship with Paul George? It deteriorated rapidly. There were reports of fights, arguments, cold shoulders in the locker room. The brotherhood was broken. Paul George eventually responded to the allegations publicly, denying everything. He wrote in an Instagram post, "These rumors have got to stop. It's getting old now, and all of you that believe them are ignorant. Yiscan brothers." But to fans, it was too late. The damage was already done. Hibbert's decline was visible. He went from all-star to afterthought almost overnight. In just a couple seasons, the man who had once held LeBron James to 1 for 14 in the paint was out of the league entirely. Comment sections flooded with disbelief. One fan wrote, "I remember Hibbert went from beast to chump overnight, and he never recovered. It's a woman every damn time." Some tried to defend Paul George. Others blamed Blair Cook. He wasn't aging. He was 27 years old, in his prime. And yet, he vanished from the NBA like a ghost. No farewell tour, no redemption arc, just silence. The Pacers tried to keep things professional. The locker room remained tight-lipped, but the story lived on. Whispered among fans, resurfacing every few years like an old wound that never quite healed. Today, Roy Hibbert is remembered not just for his elite rim protection, but as one of the most sudden fall-offs in NBA history. And whether the rumors were true or not, the timing of it all left a lasting impression. He gave his loyalty to the wrong teammate. He gave his heart to the wrong woman. And he lost everything.